And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle. And now, here's Renny.
What's up, gents?
There we are.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, man. How are you?
Oh, man, doing good. Coming at you from the new headquarters here.
Oh,
yeah, we were just talking about that. They got a new headquarters, a fancy conference room, office thing going on, everything.
Wow. So,
Joe,
what's the story on the new headquarters? You got to tell us.
It's a 2-car garage addition that we put onto the house with the office space up above. Like this right here, that's acoustic panels I have there, but that's an observation window actually out into the other bay. So I've got the R8 parked down there. You know, I got a big You're Able logo in the epoxy. So can't wait. That window's coming in tomorrow.
That's awesome. It's so, because I mean, you've been to our place, and there's something really, really amazing about living close to where you work, you know? And again, we're going to talk about that, today even. I didn't even think about that and putting it in the notes, but sometimes we make it awfully hard on ourselves, our passions.
Well, for me, I had to get out of the house because it was just, a cluttered office is like a cluttered mind for me, and we had gotten too big, too much going on to be in like our little den. I needed a larger space that was a bit more built for the purpose. We have, we can hold conferences now. We get the whole team over here. That's actually that table right there was made from the wood of an old white oak tree on our property that had died and went over. It's like a 250-year-old white oak. They call it a William Penn oak. So we harvested that wood so we could make cool things like this. So that's going to be passed down for generations in the family. Kyle's got.
Say again, what was that?
We had enough wood coming out of Uncle Buck, which is what we named our tree. Kyle's got a table similar to this with live edges and a couple of benches. And there's another big stack of wood back in the barn that we had kiln dried. It's all set to go whenever, Chris gets a house. So we really wanted to make something that was kind of paying homage to Uncle Buck, because he was here long before any of us. And that tree was so magnificent. Was the reason I actually bought this property and had the house put here. So
we have a giant sequoia out in front of our house, and they don't. Ours isn't giant. Ours was planted relatively. It's probably 20, 25 years old. But just think of those 20, 25 years, the story, Uncle Buck. Think of the story of that tree. And I know that's kind of weird. And it's off.
Uncle Buck was here when the Indians lived here. That's the crazy thing. That tree is freaking old.
Yeah. So it was probably towards the end of its life saying, "Take me back." I like the Indians better. I mean, we've done a good job. We've done a good job. I mean, this country's amazing. This world's amazing, right? But we sure have paved it over. But we got a tree here that's called the grandfather tree, and they believe it's the oldest living lodge pine tree in the world, and it's about it's approaching 400 years old now, and still alive. And it's like, I mean, you just think of what it's, it survived, and I think it plays right into, look, we didn't even plan this. It comes into, I mean, you got to be a tree, you got to be that white oak, you got to stand tall, and then there's a time and end for for everything. So, well, hey, while we're talking,
in my case, it's grapefruit trees. So, I live in the valley here where it was all citrus, but I've got a massive grapefruit tree in my backyard that's been here. I mean, I'm in the house I grew up in. So I'm 47, and that tree was here before I was, and it's a gorgeous tree, and it's still doing great. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we just wanted to make sure we paid proper respects to Uncle Buck. He was here before any of us, before the country was a country. And I thought, there's no way I'm letting that poor thing just go over and rot. We are going to harvest this wood, and we are going to make stuff that we pass down for generations.
Yeah, we we've got a certain oak here, and every once in a while when you get firewood, they'll I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's like the hardest oak. Like it's even hard to burn, right? But once you start it, like you put a little piece in your fireplace.
Right.
But those trees are super old, and so whenever I see a piece, I set it aside because I'm like, you know what, I'm going to mill something out of that. That doesn't deserve to be ash, right? So I love that. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in sentimental things like that. I think it says a lot of who you are when you look at that. Instead of, like you said, just letting it die, is repurpose it, bring it back into life, give it life. You don't know where that table is going to go, well after you're gone.
Exactly. I mean, it's gonna outlive me.
Right?
I love that aspect of it.
No, it's so well. That what a great way to launch into this. So today, love what you do. The realities of this goal. We're Michael Abens. We've got one of the greatest minds in the industry. Hey, Michael, is it awesome? You're kind of a newer comer in this industry, and definitely not new in business, but newer. Do we have some just awesome people in this industry?
Couldn't have picked a better thing to go into, but that's what attracted me to it to begin with, right? That was the whole thing for me as a consumer coming into this. I love the service that was being performed. I love the fact that everybody in this industry is willing to roll up their sleeves and frickin' put in the work, right? They're willing to put in the work, and I just thought, bringing a little bit of business savvy and know-how into it, that just shines up those rough edges of the business and makes it just run that much better. And then everybody can fall in love with their businesses all over again. Because you know what it's like. It's a love-hate thing with your businesses, right? You love it, and then it's killing you, right? It's just sucking.
Why did I ever do this? Why did I ever do this? Well, that's, and we'll talk about that a little bit. There's a price to pay in everything we do, right? And, my journey, I mean, everybody looks up the mountain, whoever's in front of them on the trail. I love to hike and mountaineer, and everybody looks at them, the people in front of them, and, they want to be them. They want to maybe take the shortcut up. They want to do this and that. But I'll tell you, when I look back at my career, and I don't mean this looking back at people in a bad way, I look back at myself and think about, oh man, at year 10, I thought I had my poop in a group, and I was still pretty stupid, mainly how I was managing my time, and mainly how I was like managing relationships. I think going back to it, staff members and all that. But, before we get deep into this, Michael, introduce yourself and your background and of course, right now, what you're involved in. And then we're going to jump right into this thing.
Well, hey everybody. I recognize a lot of the names popping up on the side here. So hi everybody that, is part of the community. So I'm Michael Abens right now. We own Abens Solutions, which is the development firm responsible for Able, the business management system that we built specifically for, the detailing PPF tint ceramic coating industry. I know a lot of people don't identify with detailing anymore. They identify more with PPF or tint, but, we built it for, the broader group. Prior to that, I ran, large companies. DuPont Pharmaceuticals was one of them. AstraZeneca, I ran a $1 billion brand in that business. And then I ran, a small, well, it was small when we took it over in 2008, not so small now, home infusion business outside of Philadelphia. We grew that into the largest provider of intrathecal drug therapy in America in just 4 years from zero. Complex area of medicine that nobody wanted to figure out. So I put in the work and figured it out.
Wow.
And now we own that market. So sold that company in 2012, and then it sold again in 2020. So now I'm completely out of it. So now it's all about Able. And honestly, I mean, we like to say we're the developers of Able, and that's true, but the number of fingerprints on Able right now is really humbling. It's being built and evolved by the community. We're the ones that are putting the X's and O's in place, but it is really, it's more owned by the community at this point than it is us. And we just love being kind of the stewards of it and the overseers of it at this point.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Mafia. I mean, it's grown up so much. It's more than me. Matter of fact, it'll never be me again. And I'm so proud of that because all we did is kind of light the match that started the fire. Does that make sense? And I think that's what you're saying right here is that, the development and so forth, it started out with you guys, but it took on so much personality because of the people. It's like people here right now pay tribute. Whoever's on live, even if you're listening remotely afterwards, the recorded version, but I appreciate it. I really do. But the people that come on live, man, that's dedication because that's at a certain time. That's hardcore. For the people that are listening and you're a regular listener, thank you. If you're not, stick around. I think we got something to offer. And this gentleman's one of them. We try to reach out to a lot of the great people in the industry. And I admire this man for many, many reasons. One of them is business savvy. But the primary one is just who he is as a man.
Speaking of dedication and guys jumping on live, we got Todd Hooper all the way from New Zealand. And I had to look.
Oh, wow.
It's 5 a.m. in New Zealand right now.
Wow. Yeah, like the next day, 5 a.m.,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I was always jealous of you guys in New Zealand when I was a kid because you got to celebrate Christmas a whole day early, It was like, dang, man, how do I get there, But, it really is, and it's people, like that gentleman all the way in New Zealand, man, to be here. And it's, you're here to feed yourself, but what a lot of you that listen don't realize is you feed us. I mean, Oscar can't be on today. He's traveling. He's going back to, can't remember where he's going to. He's going somewhere. That guy's
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's racking up the next one. He's racking up air miles. That's hardcore. But we want to thank all of you that dedicate this time. We're going to jump in this second. So, last week we did 4 events in 2 days, ranging from Riverside, California, all the way up to Ventura. Which, if you know that the topography of California, that's a pretty big distance. It's and we met amazing. For me, boots on the ground to get on social media. I mean, social media is great, but what we did last week of shaking hands with people and finding people that were just part timers, just starting out, have full time gigs. You see the fire in their eyes, man. That just makes my life. At this point, it's what makes my life. On the heels of that, I'm going to try not to get emotional. Friday night, I got a call when I was coming back. My mother-in-law, I was married to my high school sweetheart, which her name is Becky. We're still really close. Her mom and dad were like my parents. Her mom especially was a safety net. Michael knows my story a little bit. I got a call that Winnie wasn't doing too good. We've been monitoring. She's 90 years old, man. Lived a great life. But it doesn't, even her, as probably one of the strongest humans I know, one of the best entrepreneurs I know, survived cancer 3 times, lost a baby at birth, lost her a kidney and a half at 17 years old in the 1950s, wasn't supposed to live. And I was blessed enough last week to watch her take her last breath with the family and be there. Whew.
Oh, sorry about that, Renny. I saw that.
Yeah. So Winnie, this is for you. I wouldn't be the man I am. I wouldn't accomplish what I've accomplished without you. And so she's just this amazing human. And I'm not, I'm celebrating her life. I'm just selfishly upset because, gosh dang, to have a conversation with her was not a one of them. Even as she got, 89, 90 years old, you never had the same conversation twice. And she just was such a feeder. I didn't realize, I did. I watched it. I had a front row seat since I was 13 years old to watch this woman impact lives, mine. But there are so many more. I don't know if you could you'd have to have a pretty big room like this to fill up, to allow everybody that she impacted and she touched, from taking people in when they're down and letting them live with them, sponsoring people from other countries to come into this country, helping kids like me. I definitely grew on the other side of the tracks. She saw something in me, thank God. And, and it's testimony of why we stayed. But I just want to tell people right now, I'm not sad, no condolences. If you see me upset, just merely because I know I've got to wait a while to have the next conversation. And I really enjoyed her conversations. And it's an example of generational gaps. Don't be afraid of them. This woman was so modern and yet old school, yet could talk the latest things and embrace change. And I mean, just it was such a vivid lesson in my life. Even her death was simply freaking amazing. And she went out, at the bottom of she went all innings into overtime, and she never stopped scoring. She never stopped swinging at the ball. She was never afraid to get up to bat. Age didn't define her. Wow, what more do we want in life?
Exactly.
To still be swinging at the ball at 90 years old. On Friday night, when I was last there with her, she still had no plans of dying, and on Monday, unfortunately, we lost her, but what we gained, her next journey has already started. What we gained from her, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to her and my grandma, my mom, like they were my safety nets, and the 3 safety nets I had in a pretty unsure environment. And I'm just thankful. And I wanted to bring her name up because I wouldn't live with myself. Becky, I hope you're listening. Your mom, and you guys changed my life. And Winnie, your mom lives on to me forever.
And isn't it just a beautiful thing that, we all have the opportunity to help and support others through positivity. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you're doing. Clearly, you've got a circle of people that have had a tremendous influence on you, Renny. I've got the same thing, but I think it's one of these things that we all have that opportunity to be that somebody for someone, and I think, you got to kind of sit back and look at that from time to time. We all get, consumed by our own day-to-day stuff. But I really come to understand as I get older that, my mojo and my energy is coming from giving to others. That's how I kind of plug myself in. It's not about personal accolades. It's about who can I help that probably never expected it. Like we're helping a guy right now. He's a special forces operative, and he suffered a lot of head trauma. So he has some difficulties learning, but we are pulling out the frickin' red carpet, and we are going to make sure that he can absorb everything that he needs to with you're able to run a better business than what he's doing now, which is just really kind of struggling through the day to day. That's what gets me motivated. That's what gets me out of bed. It's opportunities like that,
It's my questions shifted even like, it's time again, first off, the pool, because of, I'm getting older, right? And so my pool of people that, built me up as a young person is pretty close to being gone. There's a few left. And I think that's what impacted me the most. But last week, instead of being upset, I was struggling with something else popped up. And I just took some downtime, some much needed downtime. And I didn't take the downtime. I was forward progression the whole way. But what I did is got so much clarity out of it. And I kept asking myself, what's the most important things to me? And it's now I've realized that I'm that person to other people. I'm Winnie. I'm Bill, I'm Walt. I'm Monique. I'm those people, Walt, Monique, thank God they're still around, right? But, some of my most important men, I got to, Vince is still around. I call my 2 Vinces. They're still around, thank goodness. But my life, my childhood, saviors, they're gone. They're gone.
Well, now, you're that to somebody.
Amen. That's the progression.
You kind of recognize and appreciate that someone is looking at you from that lens and respect that.
Yeah. So it's exciting. Started kind of derail this, but let's get into this. Love what you do. And let's talk about the realities. I think any service business, or a lot of times, I think that hunger is motivation. So I break it down into 3 areas that people get into service businesses, any service business. It's survival. Is that, detailing, window washing. There's a lot of other lawn mowing. There's a lot of industries that you can get into that you can, the startup cost is pretty minimal. And a lot of times you're getting into it just to put peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the table. And so you've got that aspect of what people are doing, right? Of getting into it. Then you got into the passion side of it. They love cars. They love They love being their own boss. They love airplanes. They have all these other things. The problem with both of those is the best one to have, I think, you guys, is a combination. I always tell people, I still think kind of like a poor guy, is that, where's the next nickel coming from, and should I spend it, and so I think that's wise, but it's also kind of been a setback in some ways too. Chris will tell you, forward marching, I don't have any problem. Pretty forward thinking, pretty young thinking, and the fact that, we're just getting onto a marketing campaign. We just redid our website. We're constantly investing in our company, new technologies, AI. I've really have grasped AI big time. And if you're not, I mean, there's some real advantages to artificial intelligence in business. So all these different things, this passion, the survival mode, I think when you combine it, is that, Michael, here he is successful, but you guys think that he didn't have an appetite for more success? Is look what he's built up in this. And I think the reason why is he had obviously, is with his R8, he's a car guy, right? But he also had a passion of doing something with his family. And so kind of, Michael, share with us, because, I mean, you got onto this, you didn't know a lot about the detailing industry, right? You're a car guy, you had exposure there, but kind of tell us where that your immense sense for business, and then kind of combining your passion, where did that join up, and how's it balanced?
Yeah, it's a little like catching lightning in a bottle too. This doesn't happen all the time, but I think it might happen more often than we all give it credit, but we just aren't paying attention. I think we miss a lot of opportunities just by walking by them. We just don't recognize it. I kind of recognized it just from being a car enthusiast and going in and having, high-end detail work done to the car. And it wasn't a very smooth process ever. So it was clear that, people got into this. They loved what they were doing. They were high-tech shops. They were doing the best they could. But it was obvious to me as a business executive that they did not have a firm grasp on how to really run a company well. And just the whole customer experience around it. So that's really the impetus behind it. I had no plans of doing this in retirement. It was really the kids came up with the idea to, start a software development company. I was the one that picked the market just because I thought we could move the needle. And I wanted to give back to entrepreneurs that didn't have the luxury of professional experience that I had. It's not that I'm smarter than anybody else, but I have experienced a lot of unique things. I saw how Fortune 50 companies get shit done, so I understand how to execute against ideas. A lot of people get ideas, but they don't execute. I am all about executing, because it's not a reality until you do it. So, taking things from just an idea to a reality, that is kind of my thing. And now doing it with my kids. Doesn't get better than that.
When I first, the first day I ever met with you and talked with you and Chris, presented, we talked about that many times. I got that intense. You're comfortable in your own skin. You're comfortable where you're at in life. You're comfortable, but I got an immense sense that this was so much bigger of a mission for you, because of it wasn't just business. It was your kids' passion. It was your passion for maybe helping other people. I was picking up on, we'd only spent, maybe a couple hours together, and I was picking up all these different radio signals, and pings, and it hit it right. And you look at what you did, and I've told you, I warned a buddy of mine that's in the industry that does a lot of software also, that I told him, man, these guys, if they come out with this is going to be a heavy hit because of their passions. But yet, I think that you guys coming in and what the other software companies have done, you didn't take anything away from other people. Is just like detailers. We created more. You guys coming into the market created more demand for software in our industry, not less.
It's all up. We're trying to raise it all up, right? We're trying to improve the industry. We can't do it single-handedly. You always need competition and help.
And exactly that is, if you're a blue car entrepreneur and you're listening to this, is guess what? In your market, if you've got you and a buddy that's doing it really well, you're not going to shorten the demand. The demand's going to get so strong, you're probably going to have to bring somebody else into your circle that you really trust as competition. And that sounds weird, but that's just how we worked it. We know, again, I'll relate everything back to, people that have been on, I'll go back into mountaineering, search and rescue. When I'm on a trail or we're doing a search, and, I can see things that the younger team members are doing because I've been there, done that. It's not because I'm all knowing. It's just because, and it's not because of what I know, it's because of the screw ups I've done, And so you've got this, what I call passion on fire with these young soldiers and or law enforcement that, they're gung ho. And you just got to get that gung ho attitude into the right direction. And when you do that, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can slow their passion down and not slow it down. Not everybody can temper. It's like riding a horse. Diane's horse is a rodeo horse, which means I don't ride him because he's just too much horse for me, right? But Diane gets on him and he's totally fine. You got to know your abilities and where you're at. Now, he just went through some advanced training, is just about ready to wrap it up. I'm going through some training starting here literally next week. And now I'm going to be ready to ride him, is because I've been down the trail. I've gotten more experience. Doesn't mean I didn't know what I was doing or he was a bad horse. Neither are true. It means that our experience level has come together and we're both ready to go to the next level. That's what passion, man. You bring it in together. That's why I think with what you guys did is to create, you're able, is that you just lit a fire for that was there. Other people were ahead of you, right? But part of it was timing, but a lot of it was your guys' passion and drive and why. Your why. How much of your why caused you to grow?
Yeah, and it wasn't money. Usually to be really successful, if you're just chasing dollars, that's got an expiration date on it, and that isn't going to keep you getting out of bed. So this was never about the money, even at the beginning. It was about an opportunity for me personally to give back, but also create something with my kids that can last for generations. So this isn't a pump and dump thing for us. That is not what we're about. This is about family legacy and generational, a generational opportunity that no one in my family had until my generation. My mom and dad didn't have it. They were rubbing 2 nickels together to make ends meet. So I felt like, all right, I've been really blessed with my professional career. I've accumulated a lot of tools in my toolbox. It doesn't do me any good if I'm buried with all of it, so it's like, this is my chance to just get it all out, just get it all out, help as many people as I can, and help people that I will never meet in my life. But, through the work that we put into this, we're able to create a better quality of life for them. And, they don't need to thank me a bit. It's all the thanks I get knowing that there's somebody out there that we've helped move the needle for. And they're
gosh,
that's the motivation behind it. If you're just chasing dollars, it's got an expiration date on it. Don't chase dollars.
You mentioned the chasing dollars things twice now, and a lot of people equate, their income with success. And it just reminded me of a quote from Herman Cain. I pulled it up. It's success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. And I think that's true. You'll be successful at what you're doing if you love doing it. But you're right. It's not about chasing the dollars,
Kristen.
And I mean, it's easy for me to say because, I've had a long career. So, I've got money. I don't need to make money. So I appreciate that I come at this from a little bit different perspective, but it doesn't invalidate it. It's still absolutely a truism. If you can go after things for reasons other than the money, you're going to find a lot more reward. And incidentally, you'll probably find more money as a result of that. I always looked at my compensation as just a byproduct of good work. Trying to make a difference. And if I make a big enough difference, then there will be monetary reward. But that was never the purpose of the work itself. It was not the reward. It was more the work itself and the outcomes and impacting others.
Man, hey man, you know, there's all kinds when I see it. I remember when he said that, or I remember seeing the quote the first time, is that love what you do and you'll never, you'll be successful. The caveats to that and the things that come off of that, the little bubbles, is that, we see somebody, again, I always look at people. I watch documentaries. 2 years before I met Diane, I was convinced by a friend of mine to try out for a team to go for Everest, right? And no, I'm not like a serious mountaineer. Like I'm more like a way serious advanced hiker, backpacker. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But I've got a lot of experience in me, and I've got a lot of search and rescue. So we thought it'd be great. We met this guy, Dave, that had done. He was the first person, I think, to do Everest. He's over 60 years old, and he'd summited 3 times over 60, right? So we're going to go with this guy. He's a pretty amazing mountaineer. I had knee reconstructive surgery, which held me back. I couldn't go that year. I had to wait until that next season, so I was still training. And then I realized, I watched, it was one of the deadly seasons where they lost all these people, and I said, what the hell am I thinking? All it is a big mountain. The mountain I really want to climb is life. I'm only 20-something years old. Why am I going to let a mountain take me out when I haven't even climbed the mountain in life that I want to do? And so I backed way off that. So I always watch documentaries, and I think in the back of her mind, Diane's always really worried, like, one of these days I'm just going to, kind of like buying cars. She's going to come home, and there's going to be all this brand new mountaineering equipment in. I'm going to announce to her I'm going to shoot for Everest, because I'm always watching these documentaries. And so she says, well, if you're not going to do it, why are you watching these documentaries? And I said, to remind myself that wasn't my journey. That I watch these other people and I enjoy their passion and what they get out of doing it, but I'm okay that I don't do it. The reason why I mention this, a lot of us come into it, and now it's easier than ever. Not easier. We've got more. The detailing industry is respected at a degree where we can have an entrepreneur that's not necessarily really into cars, that's not crazy about it, but they're crazy about business. We've actually got a lot of those, and I've talked to them more and more in the last 5 years, that, it's funny, I'm not even a car person, is they're seeing the opportunity, and some of these are I won't mention names, are some of the biggest, most successful, wealthiest operations in the world. And they started by entrepreneurs versus passion. Now, a couple of those people have also said, yeah, if I was in the shop working every day, I'd hate it. It's not my thing. So take yourself back to this if you're listening to it. I started as a survivalist. I was a survivalist. I was one of those that started detailing 2 different times to put bread on the table, right? But I wasn't crazy about cleaning stuff. I was crazy about cars and airplanes. So I didn't get a kick out of the actual work. I grew into Chris's point. I grew into that to really like it, to see the instant rewards of it, is that I did really, really enjoy it. And to this day, my favorite thing about it is the vehicle and being around them. The detailing comes as second. But what I've done is grown into such a, over the last 30 plus years, an immense respect of what it takes to do that, especially tying it into profits per hour. Because I know how to, we train so many people and we talk to so many people, is that, our scope of what we see, it's like you guys, is your scope of what you see in that scope when you're looking at people using your software is pretty broad. You see it all. So ours, if you narrow it down to, okay, we're going to really look at, I can almost look at a person and talk to them for 2 or 3 minutes and tell them, hey, give me a 360 view of your business. And A, I can read bullshit from 100 miles away. B, I can tell you whether they're doing it for passion and they're broke, or C, if they're burned out. I can see that in 100 miles away. We've got more and more people that aren't burned out. We got more and more that are entrepreneur minds that are combining the passion with the drive for success as an entrepreneur. And that's huge. That's massively huge. Yeah. And so are you guys, I think, I know it because a lot of the people I'm talking about, listen, if they're really successful operations, all of them have got one key thing in common. Every single one of them are utilizing software, every technology across the board, every single one of them. We rely on it desperately. Like I said, even artificial intelligence now, I probably use artificial intelligence 3 or 4 times a week in different formats. But Michael, even in your years, and how many years are you into it now?
You're able?
Yeah.
We're 5 years old.
5 years. So have you seen during your time, have you seen a shift? Has there been a shift towards going towards, as the needle going? As you said, I think that if you put it on a football field, that needle is, if you put it 2 categories, detailer and entrepreneur, is I think that needle would be pointing much heavier at detailer than it would be towards entrepreneur. Would you agree? And are you seeing a shift?
Yeah, it still is. Because, I mean, look at it this way. It's hard to tell how many, detail businesses there are, like just call it the United States. But it's probably north of 100,000, right? North of 100,000, that identify some form of detailing business. We got 1,700 businesses that run off our software. We're nowhere into the market penetration. So the people that come to us, and 1,700 sounds big, but I look at that like, Jesus, we got 90,000 some odd, people that are struggling. They're still writing stuff on a paper calendar, using sticky notes. They're struggling. They're in survival mode, probably.
Absolutely.
And I know damn well, using us or any of the other systems that are designed for this market. This isn't just a unique thing to your able. Any of these systems will help you run a better business and lead a better quality of life. So all of us combined are just a couple of % market penetration. So the vast majority of this market, they are still struggling. So they are technicians first and business owners a distant second.
And it's sad, the percentage of failure on those by year 7 to 10 is dismal. It's dark, right?
Well, you're on the hamster wheel, and you put yourself there by kind of not recognizing that you don't know everything that you should know to run a business, or that you can know to run a business. It's not simple. There's a lot of stuff to kind of think through, but thankfully there's, older people like me and, Renny, and people that have been around the block a time or two that can really help you avoid some of the potholes and get you with a good foundation to build upon. It's really tough if you're just, trying to make ends meet by just doing more jobs, or you find yourself in a competitive local market and everybody's in a race to the bottom. That's not an answer to a long, successful business. You need to do things differently and separate yourself, carve out some position in your market that you can own and go after it. And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to be consistent about your behaviors, and you got to stick to your guns and just do it. Don't get caught in that race to the bottom. Nobody wins that thing.
When I started every single one of my businesses up, I started a good friend of mine that had a front seat view to all of my entrepreneurship. I'll knock on wood. I never had a business fail, right? I just never failed. But I can tell you this, I was on that hamster wheel a couple times, even within our current businesses, on the hamster wheel a couple times. And it's a sucked place to be. It is not fun. And so it's just,
and we all got to be on it from time to time, but you got to recognize, one, that you are on it, and number two, that you got to get off.
Yeah, you got to jump off. But it's funny because Rich was telling me the other day. Rich, I love you if you're listening. This was the other day. Jesus, this is a long time ago. But there was times my business was not my full-time thing. I know people say, "Oh, I'm going to get a part-time job or something." No, man, I made my business my part-time job because I knew I had to get down the road, and myself, even though I don't know, I was a different kid. People get a mixed. They totally don't, unless you really know me, you don't know me, and so they think, "Oh, man, he's this egotistical man." Am I very confident in my abilities? Oh, hell yeah. When it comes to keeping a beautiful wife for 30 years, I'm very confident, and I'm very egotistical about it because I'm proud that Diane and I have made it this far, and that she's put up with my ass during some of the toughest years of building out, our little empire that we are now, right? And then the second thing is I know how to turn a profit in blue collar businesses. Those are the two things the the rest of everything in life, I don't know. You know, there's times people kind of be, man, how'd you manage having kids and building this business? Not the guy to go to. I can tell you what I did wrong, but you know, was I successful? Absolutely. Look at our kids. You know, they're great kids. That didn't come from a bad situation. It came from they watched me. And if you ask my kids, hey, you gonna get into entrepreneurship? Nope. Why? Because they watched dad and mom, right? And so they've each figured out their own path in life. But you know, the benefits. Let's talk about passion, because I think that, you know, God, there's two hands. We have two. Well, most of us have two arms, right? Two sets of hands, and the reason why is that dexterity, right? It's the same thing. You have to have passion, but you've got to have wisdom too, and that's a tough combination. But let's talk about the benefits of passion: increased motivation and enthusiasm. Okay, so that's natural. But what's the flip side of that, to Michael, is that we see this, and I think you're going to go the same direction. But you know, we've got this increased motivation and enthusiasm, but like a rabid dog right now, what's going on in the industry is that when you have that much motivation and enthusiasm based off of passion, there's a byproduct of that too. What do you think that byproduct is, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, if you're all gas and no rudder,
oh, amen.
You got no direction, baby. No direction. And you know, just to use you know, a racing analogy on the racetrack, the fastest people are the best breakers.
I love that.
Right, those are the people who win. They know how to frigging brake. Everybody knows how to hit the gas. You got to know how to brake and when to brake.
So I've gotten to a few driving schools, right? I mean, probably the best one I went to was in Mid Ohio with Malco in the industry. And thanks, Malco. Seth, you're a rock. But you know, I'm taking it you've gone through driving instruction, Michael, because you're probably semi-pro, right? When you start really learning the braking, most people that were on the course with me, that's what got to them, is that they'd be on the radio and you'd be going in and you see a 90-degree turn coming up and you're saying, okay, shouldn't they be yelling brake at me by now? And I didn't. They said pedal to the metal, go as fast as I could, and I was. And when they said brake, man, and then they say off, and I just tried to get it as quick as I can. Is that right? And that's what takes people out of the race, is because they.
So passion is important, you know, because it fuels you, you know, but that doesn't win the race, right? No. It's all the little things around it that win the race. It's you know, understanding how to create a really smooth customer experience so people feel good about doing business with you. Oh, you know, so you can have all the passion in the world, but if you're difficult to do business with, you're not going to win people over long term.
And if you're not a people person, you better be.
I mean, it's tough because a lot of you know, naturally introverted people migrate towards entrepreneurialism because, you know, they don't want to, you know, work for the man kind of mentality, or they just, you know, they don't get energy from being in like an office environment with a lot of other coworkers. They just naturally feel better in a bit more of a solitude type of situation. But that just tells you that you have something to work on, right? You can get out of that little zone, just push the boundaries a little bit to be a little bit more communicative and personable with the customers that you interact with. And then just over time, you know, you're going to find that you keep expanding that and expanding it, and you find yourself more and more comfortable over time. But you still have that underlying passion that's the push behind it. But now the push has more forward momentum to it than just spinning the hamster wheel in the same spot. Well, you know, so
I was going to say that passion, right? It has to be more than just having passion to do the thing, to do the task, right? You know, like for us as detailers, we have to be, you know, that passion can't just be to go out to the garage or the shop and work on a car. That passion has to fuel your desire to want to learn more about it, to want to learn more about the business side of it, to want to just dive in deep in all aspects of the business, not just the actual act of working on the car and making things shiny and pretty.
Well, the other thing is when you have that passion going, a lot of times that passion is ignorance on fire, is you're not watching your profits per hour. You don't know what your expenses are. You have no idea, because you're spending so many hours that you would have been better as a greeter at Walmart that day, you know, and that's okay every once in a while to put yourself in those positions. But all too many people are putting them there to where they look at the job. Yeah, you just got $2,500 off that job, but at how long it took you and how long you had the car and how long it locked up your square footage to do it is you just made $20 an hour. How are you going to pay your bills off $20 an hour, you know, as a business? The answer is you're not, you know, not even going to come close. And so what about improved job satisfaction, you know?
And it just inevitably leads to less time with your loved ones. And that's where you're really paying the price. You really got to think about the price that you're paying.
Yep.
So I'm constantly coaching people to get off the damn hamster wheel, get out of the shop, just get more efficient around the services that you do deliver, get better at scheduling. So, you know, you're not, and get rid of the damn OCD that you're trying to chase perfection on every paint correction. You know, correct it enough to make your customers happy and move on.
I am car crazy and plain nuts, you know, and some would say probably more nuts than car crazy. I do not want to make my own vehicle perfect. And the reason why is because I know 6 months later, it's not going to be perfect again. So I bring it back to where it will get me through the next 6 months. I'll be happy looking at it, especially if you close one eye and stand 5 feet away. And I say that because the car's going to age, and I'm such a driver of all my vehicles. We just drive them, you know. We drive them. I enjoy them. Their life is that, God, stop, you know, it's like this. If you've never smoked, I enjoy a good cigar every once in a while. And as little as I smoke them anymore is that when I do have one, I do not want a shitty cigar. You know, I want a really, really good, tasteful cigar, something that I like for my taste. And detailing is the same way. When I buy something that is, you know, we just got new furniture for the shop dropped off. I bought something because I went to that level listen, I'm probably not at the same financial level where I bought the furniture of their average customer. I'm probably on the lower end, but I like quality and I don't want to buy things twice. Your customers are the same way. Why I went over with that provider was A, everything's custom made to your specifications. B, they make an appointment to work with you to sell you the furniture. I didn't want to walk in there and have some 19-year-old person that doesn't know shit because they just went through a 9-hour training the 2 days before, and that's all they know about the furniture. I went to this young lady that had been there for 17 years, and she sat there and spent half the time asking me questions, and then filled out. And she goes, "Okay, these are the pieces I want to show you." Did I buy? I gave her my money, and you can learn.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
absolutely.
You know, and did I pay more? And ironically, I told this story before. Is I walked out of that establishment, and 100 yards, a football field away, was one of the big box store furniture places, right? And so when I talked to her, I said, "How busy, were you?" This was at Christmas time. And so she goes, "I've been here 17 years. We have never seen a November and December like we've seen this year. Never in 17 years." I walked down the way and I'm looking around again, that 19-year-old kid, that doesn't know shit. I say, "Hey man, how long you worked here?" "Oh, I think it was 6 months." And I said, "Cool. Well, I bet you guys were busy over this Christmas." He goes, "Deader than a doornail. Matter of fact, they're talking about shutting the door down." And I was like, how can you go from literally here to 100 yards away and have, the thing was the environment they created, and they're making their customers feel special. Now, if you go look at the furniture, does it look on the outside all that high end? Go look at it in 5 or 10 years, as long as my dog doesn't eat it again.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think people put enough credence into creating a unique and very good professional customer experience. But like, you paid a premium for that and you felt good about it, right? That's where you should all be. Think about yourselves as a consumer. When you're looking at your business, you're always on the inside, you're so inwardly. Think about your business from a consumer's point of view. Is that a business that you want to do business with?
Amen. Ooh, damn.
Do you want to buy from the guy that's in the race to the bottom? No.
Yeah.
I discount them right off the bat. I'm looking for somebody that has separated themselves because they got the confidence to charge a freaking premium. And I expect to get a good customer experience from it. Why do you go to the Ritz-Carlton?
Yeah.
versus more of that.
It's you're just lit a fire underneath me right now, Michael. This is great. I knew this was going to be fun. When they went to deliver it, and I'll tell you two stories. When they went to deliver it, it was when I walked out, they had it sitting on the edge, on the ground. Okay, well, I'm a leather guy, right? I'm a leather repair technician by trade. I did that in high-end corporate jets for years, and I'm seeing them set this thing I just paid a fortune for on the ground, and I'm about ready to lose it. And I look at a big sticker, and you want to tell me this isn't part of their marketing. It says, don't worry, this is all packed in scratch-proof packing. And I went, oh, my God. I mean, right then and there, my sense of ownership and pride in doing business with a company that took a lot of money out of my pocket. And then the next thing they did was brilliant, is on the furniture. I got to be honest. I sat there last night. Everybody went to bed. I walked out. But I started looking at what came with the furniture, and there's a splotch of the exact leather that we had the stuff made with, and it said two things. It says feel the durability of this leather and smell the quality of the leather. And I sat there rubbing the couch with my left hand and sniffing and rubbing the leather with my right hand. And I'm going to tell you, it was worth the $10,000 just to sit there on my couch and smell that damn leather and feel it on my booty. And I just, their experience made me feel like $1 million. And so and then here's the other amazing thing. This comes back to software. What did I get when I woke up this morning? I get a text message from them saying, hey, how did we do on this is a simple question. It will take you exactly 5 seconds to answer, to do the survey. So I went, well, yeah, I had a good experience. So they said, how was the experience of delivery? And you only had 3 choices: poor, good, or great. And so I put great. Bam. Okay. Next day, another one comes in right before I got on this, and it says, hey, would you take the time to give us a Google rating? And I'm like, holy shit, these guys, they suckered me in on 5 seconds. And guess what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go give them a really nice rating. Because here's the other thing. The furniture came in almost a month ahead of time. Is they delivered on what they promised and then some. So what can you learn from that? And so, and enhance creativity and innovation. Listen, you don't have that company didn't go out and invent the software that got me engaged with them. That they didn't take. And when I looked them up, I already knew them. I'd driven by them a few times. I knew they were there. We had kids, dogs. I mean, our lives are very much an outdoor life. And so we've had nice furniture our whole life, but we wanted something to the next level because our kids are gone. And our dog that eats furniture is finally, hopefully matured. And I'll probably go in there here shortly and the couch is gone. But it's right. It's like, goddamn, don't chew it, please. But they even have, you can buy dog damage insurance for your furniture now.
Oh yeah.
So guess what? $500. I was like, take my money. It's good for 3 years. Take my money. It's not replace. It's just repair. But now if we do have a problem, they'll come out and repair it. So I'm like, damn, they didn't figure this out. It's taken them generations. This company's 50 years old, but they've had enhanced creativity and innovation. Where does that come from? From partnering with different people, by engaging, like you that are listening right now, that you that are live is engaging. And then better performance is success. When you have that much passion and you're going to an event, I love to watch these trolls online that sit there and badmouth the mobile tech or what's going on, or if we're hosting an event or this group's hosting an event, that tribe's got something, and they're ragging on all the different tribes, right? And yet you never see their ass at an event. You know why? And I'm too busy for that. No, you're not. You're too broke for that. You're too busy being broke because your business can't live without you. That's a problem, and a lot of people don't see it. And listen, I know how it is. I'm not talking to you that are in like growth mode or survival mode. We all had to get out of that, right? I dig that. And you better not leave your business. It needs you right now. But at some point, and Michael already alluded to it, at some point you got to be able to take and cut that umbilical cord to your business and be able to break away, or all you have is a high paying job. Guess what? At some point, the burnout's going to be real for you. It's going to be real, and it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, burnout's a real thing, and you don't need to have it, But unfortunately, passion fuels burnout if you don't have good direction. Because then you're all gas, no brake, and no rudder. You're just buzzing around endlessly.
No, it's exactly it. It's funny because we got something coming up, and I wanted to take and just and talk about it a little bit. But we're combining. We're hosting an event over in Hawaii because there's so many great detailers over there. So we're going to do some events live. We're going to go to one of our Mafia members' shops and do some stuff. We got Mafia members coming in for an event, but we're really giving back to the industry, right? And wise, you just hit on something right there. Is that enhanced creativity and innovation? It's a way for us to give back to an audience that, let's face it, for a lot of the country, if you get east of the Mississippi, Hawaii's a journey. That's a big trip. It totally changes for us on the West Coast. Not quite as hard, but for you guys, it's a lot easier to get to the Caribbean than it is to go in, to Hawaii. So we've been watching this. What's that?
Europe distance.
Exactly. Yeah, you get to Spain. You get to Spain the same time or less that you get to Hawaii, right? And so it's we've been having our eye on it since way before COVID happened. And finally I just said, hey, Chris, let's go. But one of the things is Chris is a history nut. And so, we're gonna take him for a little tour. We're going to Pearl Harbor. We're gonna get the history side of it, and get on our our heritage and feeling proud to be an American and all that good stuff by going and touring some of the different things that's going on. So now I do have a little surprise for him. So we'll see how he holds up to these surprises. We're gonna do something pretty unique over in Hawaii. And,
we are, huh?
We are. Yeah, we are. But we got good insurance on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know your connections over there, and I know what kind of toys they have access to. I'm not sure I'm ready for that one.
Yeah, you're ready. You just don't know it, So this is a big one, is that when you have passion, you love what you do, is the resilience that you create from that is pretty intense. I do think that this is where is that when you just purely love something, it's really hard to give up on it. It's like your kids. If there's a lot of motivators, but if you want to see my chubby butt get up and move with purpose, is just tell me one of my kids is injured or needs something, and or Diane, you will see me move at lightning speeds. If people were trying to stop me from getting to my kids, it's going to take more than two people. You're going to have 3 or 4 to 1 to stop me from getting to my kids. Is that it's because of passion. Well, I think that happens in our businesses too, is that the resilient side of it, the willingness to not give up. And so many people, Michael, I think you'd agree with this, but I'd love to hear your input on this. So many people give up too early. Is that, your business is struggling, but go get a full-time job, make this your part-time thing. And if you really, really love it and you like it and you see purpose and you've got things going in the right direction, hold out a little longer. Work a little harder.
But that's the time people are jumping off instead of just hitting the brake and reassessing. If you've got, passion around your business, but you aren't happy with how, like, the results that you're currently getting, that doesn't mean the business is flawed. It means you need to look at things a little bit differently. Get somebody in who's a business coach that can help you shore up some of the fundamentals. Because generally that's what's going on, right? You're happy pouring water into your bucket, but you got holes coming out the bottom. So you're just constantly in the top, but you're not filling the bucket. So you need to look at things differently. And that's when you take a break and you kind of give yourself some space to reassess what's going on with the business. What is it that's not solid about the business and leading you thinking to leave it? Because you don't need to leave. You just need to fix it. But first, you need to diagnose it. So that happens by doing some freaking critical thinking, sitting back and really looking and assessing what's your pricing. Is your pricing enough to support your current business, operating model? If it's not, then you need to look at raising your prices. How do you do that? you need to deliver a good premium, customer service, as well as, service, technical service. You got to be the guy selling the furniture to Renny, right?
Amen.
He was selling Renny on, 30% off. No, Renny's paying full dollar for something good that's going to last, right? That's his buying mentality. You need to tap into that buying mentality in your market because it exists in spades, enough to drive your business to new heights. But you need to freaking take a breath and reassess how you're running your company, before you just abandon.
And it's a lesson learned too. We always kind of stayed away from going with that kind of higher end furniture when our kids are younger, just because, when they're kids and teens, and we have a 10-year gap.
The operating model.
Well, yeah. So what it was really interesting in the store is they had bought back a couch from a customer, and the story was on the couch. And the story, because this is really this company doesn't do anything but leather. That's all they do. Okay, that's all they do. They bought this couch back, and the story of this family was on a pedestal on a sign. And basically, the couch had survived 12 years of raising kids. And when they got it, I think the kids were 4 to 15 or 16, right? So that couch went all the way through the teen years of the youngest one. And I'm going to tell you, it looked weathered, and it looked even more valuable. And so I was like, damn, man, we could have gone with this direction. I wasn't educated. And so I told these guys, you know what, you guys need to have a video on your website, because if I would have saw that as a younger consumer, I would have, even though it's out of my range, it's still something we wanted, but we didn't think it would last. Now you've shown me that we want it and it would last. And so how much educating your customers do people say, my market won't pay for that? How do you know?
Yeah, and more importantly, like that couch, it isn't supposed to look new after 12 years, right? Right?
No.
But the fact that it held up and it looked like it was lived in and enjoyed, right? That's how it should have looked, but it held up.
You could have taken that in and put it into, because it was distressed leather now. So to their point, you could have had a leather technician come out and literally put some, cleaned it up a little bit and cleared it for maybe, I don't know, a couple $100, and it would have looked like high-end distressed leather. I mean, they charge more for that, because they can't age it 12 years. They've got to go through a process that takes machinery and manpower to age it like that, to make it like that. And to me, I said, how many people have wanted to buy this couch? And they said, pretty much weekly, somebody wants to buy it because it looks so good. The other thing they did is they had part of it, a third of it redone. Is that one of their leather technicians came in and it didn't redo it. All they did was they took and enhanced it, cleaned it up, and then the patina was left behind. And I got to tell you, it looked better with the patina. It looked okay. Like, I think it went from like a $8,000 couch to a $12,000 couch, because it looked like it belonged in a really, really upper end home. It really did. And so, our convictions in our tribal knowledge, our knowledge sometimes, even as technicians, is that, we can't see through the trees. It's you're in this jungle in your mind and in your world, and you don't see the opportunities that are out there, and so, and then personal fulfillment. How big is this one? Is I think when you do love this now, in recent times, we've had a shift, like we talked about before. We're seeing a lot of, and I won't say a lot, but we're seeing a small but increasing number of people coming into the industry that are really educated, very like I'm talking Ivy League education, right? And they're very motivated with entrepreneur skills, and they're running. They looked at this thing, and they're planning it, and they're building it with an entrepreneur spirit versus a passion spirit. Now, one of those was a really, as a professional, as an attorney, and I was asking them when they were here training. They said, why? And they said, I'm just tired of the golden handcuffs. I want to get out. I want to own my time. I've done my time in corporate, and now what I want to do is something I love. Ooh, that to me. Can you imagine what? Now they're probably going out right now, and their desire wasn't to build a big empire. Their desire was to build a lifestyle business that would support their needs for $150,000, $200,000 a year in income, which is nothing to sneeze at. But they had done so much planning that I believe they've achieved that goal in a relatively short time because they came into it with an entrepreneur spirit.
Oh, you can do it in this market. This market is an absolute gold mine, I think. So for everybody that's listening and getting into this, you can lead a really meaningful life. Very rewarding from a financial standpoint, but also just from a standpoint of, being able to be the controller of your time. You can make it what you want it to be. Like Mark Barger. I always use Mark as an example. Mark's living out in the middle of freaking cornfields in Southern Illinois, and he is freaking killing it because he's running he wants to run. He doesn't want to build a big empire. He wants to lead a good life that lets him, know his kids and have a good marriage with his wife and have enough money that they can do whatever they want. But it doesn't mean he's going to, drop $1 million on the bottom line every year, but he doesn't need to be fulfilled. So everybody's got their own kind of, definition around what fulfillment is. But whatever you do, just make sure there's another dimension to it than just the money. You really got to think about the value of your time, because once that second's gone, it's never coming back.
Well, closing thoughts, I think that really does a good job. The other thing to kind of just go off that is that, a week ago Monday, watching one of the most powerful people I've ever known or ever will know, take her last breath. And when it happened, I sat there and I had to wonder, and I kept quiet for a while. I didn't say anything to anybody else, but as we sat there and just kind of absorbed what had just happened is, if I could back up that clock just to 15, 20 minutes before, and she was conscious and I could ask her a question, I would ask her this: was all the stress and hard work that she's a serious entrepreneur? They brought in tens of millions. I mean, in their lifetime, well into 8 figures, right? In their business. But I'd ask her, they build a business. They work their ass off. I want to say that they're the average old school mentality entrepreneurs, and I'd like to go back and ask her, was it worth it? And if you had to do it over again, what would you change? Now, finally, the family, we sat down, I asked them that question, and all of us came up with the answer is, I think she would have liked to spend more time with the people she loved, and probably created a little more flow and less stress in her life, because she was a firefighter. She put a lot of fires out in her own life and other people's lives. And I think she would have liked to have a little more peace in her life and a little less chaos. And so the caveat is, for the first time in my entire adult life last week, is I took 4 down days, is that I was struggling with what the crap we brought back from Mobile Tech, just had to slow down, turn into a little pneumonia. I just witnessed her pass away, which was one of the saddest, but it's crazy, one of the saddest, but yet one of the most memorable experiences of my entire life. While I was sad, I was far more proud of just that I had the honor, and that she saw that I was fit enough to receive her gold that she handed out. She didn't hand it out to everybody, but I got gold. I didn't get the silver or bronze that she had to offer. I got gold, and I was just so honored to be a part of that. But I had to reflect back, and this is, I'll share some intimate, is that I came up with the fact that I got to live every day, the rest of my days, because we don't know how many we have left. I don't care if you're old, young, middle-aged, doesn't matter. We just don't know, right, when that last breath's going to happen. I got to live it. I got to live everything, and I got to make it more about the people, my people. I got to make it a lot more about them. B is I want to live an impact on more people's lives. Is that I've got to figure out how to get to another audience that's respectful of my time. And I got some ideas, on how to do that. And then I wanted to take and honor myself with a little steeper boundaries, and a little more time with me, and making myself healthy in ways that I've ignored myself a lot. That's it. I'm going to be honest. If you go in there, not on one of those will make more money. And Michael said it earlier, is that I could stop today. Do I need as much money as that we bring in every single year right now? No. Answer is no. I could live on a really slow the pace down. But the part that eats up a lot of my time is the part of giving it to others. And that's the part I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
I can't.
Same.
I just, right? I can't. And so, Michael, thank you. This wasn't you sharing input. This was you sharing your journey. And, not a lot of people go out there and give it critical like this, yet so respectful. And, we got so many of us in the industry that are doing this. And I just, I'm a better person and a better business person because of you, and your family and other people like you in the industry. And so, I just, folks, go, if you haven't checked out You're Able, we don't charge, you're not in a club or anything to be sitting in on these calls. And basically this was a conversation with a great man that I just had, and that I got a lot of respect for. And it was you just got to hear almost a conversation that Michael and I'd have in private, and you just heard it. And so, A, share this podcast with others, and then B, go over and show some appreciation for You're Able, thank them. I think that's one thing we didn't talk about, is that we see it all the time, Michael, and I see if you agree with me. I can always tell a person that's either coming up that's going to really do well, or a person that's done very well that shows great appreciation. And I think showing that a great appreciation is a true sign of a winner and somebody that gets it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'd agree with that. So many people, they don't take the opportunity to really be grateful for what other people have done for them. Certainly, as a software developer, people don't pat us on the back a lot. They usually come to us with something that the system's not doing for them that they wish it did, that kind of thing. Well, you don't get a lot of attaboys in this business, but we get some very, very heartfelt and meaningful things behind the scenes, and that's what keeps us going. So and we're dealing with the public, and you know how that is. You're going to have a spectrum of people. Some are going to be respectful, some are going to be disrespectful. But we are really energized by just the personal impacts we make, and we hear about those behind the scenes, and that's what it's all about for us. It's not about being the giant, enterprise. It's about making impacts on individual people.
Well, I get rid of the haters and the doubters and the mumblers and the whisperers pretty quick in my life now. And so from our perspective of seeing, we hear so many great things about your company because of the tribes we associate with. Some of them are brand new in the industry, but they're class acts. Some of them are 20, 30, 40-year veterans. And we just we hear a lot of people singing your song of well done, and just keep up with whatever you're doing. And I think you guys have really, you wanted to move that needle, my friend, and I think you've done it. And just in today and sharing your knowledge and input, you've helped move the needle for people across the world. So thanks for coming on, Chris. Thanks for helping me on this one. And Michael, it's always good to see you. Hey, you gonna go visit any shops? You gonna go visit any shops in that R8?
Oh yeah, we've got we're sponsoring a TV show now, Cars and Coffee Exposed. So we're going to do a shop tour running down to Augusta, Georgia, and a shop tour on the way back up. So we've got Cinescope in tow. We're already making those phone calls, and lots of tears being shed whenever we say we're going to be swinging by, and they're like, "You got to be kidding me! You're coming to visit my shop?" It's like, yes, we are.
That's so exciting.
So being able to do that, it's random acts of kindness. It doesn't cost anybody a penny. It costs them a little bit of their time to spend with us, and we just love doing it. So those phone calls are the best ever because they're just so out of the blue. Nobody knows we're going to be in an area, and we call and say, "Hey, we'd like to get your story."
Yeah, I dig it. Well, hey, have fun, man. Always a pleasure to have you on. So everybody, again, we thank you so much for just coming on, and we appreciate all you do, and hopefully we continue to feed you. It's one of our biggest goals. And so Everybody have a blessed day. And, the message I would probably send, and Michael just hit it, is just go show somebody that's helped move the needle for you appreciation. That's my challenge walking away. So take care, everybody. Happy Detroit. We'll talk to you next time. See ya.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you guys. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, see ya.
Talk to you soon.
All right.